everybody. This week on Ask Kristen, I am not going to answer Abraham Chapman's question about how Professor Boyfriend and I would make babies, but I am going to talk a little bit about our bedroom habits because it is relevant, and I'm keeping it clean because I'm just talking about sleeping. What else do you do in a bedroom? Canary wanted to know something that I've actually thought about before. Is it bad for couples to sleep in different beds? I know it could be bad if they sleep separately whenever they fight, but what if they just sleep better separately? As far as Professor Boyfriend and I go, and I really should start calling him Professor Fiance because that's his proper title. I know this for a fact from him. We both sleep better together than we do separately. The idea of sleeping in a separate bedroom would be strange for our relationship, but it's actually a lot more common than I thought. The most commonly cited statistic for sleeping separately comes from a 2004 survey from the National Sleep Foundation, which found that 23% of respondents who were married or in cohabitating relationships slept separately on a regular basis. The number one culprit: snoring. Then other things like having different nighttime schedules. If someone's a reader while someone is a TV watcher, or someone has, say, restless leg syndrome, or other things that can make it hard for two people to share not only a bed, but also a bedroom. Due to all these practical reasons for sleeping apart, a woman has created a blog called Sleeping Apart, Not Falling Apart to advocate on behalf of people like her who intentionally sleep separately from their spouse for the betterment of their relationship. If you're sleep deprived, obviously you aren't too happy or chipper, and it's harder for you to deal with conflict resolution. You are just generally unpleasant, and that can absolutely take a toll on relationships. Not that I've ever had to deal with that. To Jovial Canary's question of whether it's bad for a relationship to sleep apart, I think it has to do with why you're sleeping apart. If you're sleeping apart because you really don't want to be that close to that person and you need some space all the time, then yeah, probably not a good sign. But the other person snores all the time, for instance, and you get better sleep on the couch or in another bedroom or on the floor in the kitchen, I don't know where you like to sleep, it's probably fine, as long as you don't have to be in your bedroom at night during sleep hours in order to have sex. I think that is our biggest conceptual hang up with this idea of intentionally sleeping separately, because culturally we associate the bedroom and the bed and sex together, to the point that on the show I Love Lucy, Lucy and Desi slept in separate beds because the TV code at the time was like, ho, you don't show two people in bed at the same time. No, that implies sex. By that same token, there's this assumption that people who sleep in separate beds must have a less intimate, colder, less sexual relationship, which, as some people like Sleeping Apart, Not Falling Apart lady would say, that's not really the truth. I think it was this woman who told a writer for the Daily Beast, we just don't have sex in our bed. This week on the show, I want to explore more questions this has raised for me about all of the cultural trappings of our bedroom. Because y'all, there is a lot going on in our bedroom. So if there's anything bedroom related that you want me to research, let me know in the comments below. And also, what do you think about sleeping separately? Do you think it's bad or good? And a huge thank you to everyone's thoughtful, considerate comments on last week's Ask Kristen video. Was it rape? All this past week, I was talking about sexual assault related topics, which honestly was kind of hard and a little bit draining. I really sincerely appreciate your input as well. Justin Baldwin said, I think clear and explicit consent should be taught to young people in sex ed. I believe that in sexual situations, both parties need to have a lucid understanding of what will happen because body language and assumptions sometimes just aren't enough. Charity Fritz also had a request. Can you talk about consent in people with developmental disabilities? From your Consent 101 video, it sounded like these people could never give consent. I hope this isn't true. It would suck if an entire group of people could never have intimate sexual relationships without incriminating their partners. I also know that this group is the most susceptible to truly trust-breaking sexual acts because they are often so defenseless and jerks like to take advantage. Could you shed some light here? In the future, I would love to talk about some stuff along those lines. In the meantime, friends, ask me your questions so I can give you some answers. Maybe a good night's sleep separately.